Hey, good afternoon, everyone. It's me, Nisi. Today is Tuesday, March the 5th, and I did a short live stream last night over the sacred secretion, and I read chapter 3, the process, and then I also read the science of the sacred secretion. I wanted to do a pre-recorded video so we can kind of move along and get these recordings done, and so we can get through the book, because I want to get to a certain point to where we're compiling all the information, understanding what we're reading, and then executing the process, the steps for us to awaken or ascend, right? Because that's the goal. It's 1024, not 2024, and our goal is ascension. So I left off last night. I read process 3. I'm going to read process 4 of this book, the sacred secretion. This process is the pineal and pituitary streams merge into the spleen to produce the seed. This part of the inner alchemy is little understood, but those who are familiar with the sacred secretion will know that it was George Carey in God Man, the Word Made Flesh, who highlighted the birth of the monthly Jesus seed, this is the book, in Bethlehem, the house of bread, or the solar plexus. Every 29.5 days, a seed is born in or out of the solar plexus. The oil, which is the pituitary potency, unites with the mineral salts of the pineal potency and thus produces the monthly seed, which goes into the vagus. Okay? And that's on page 90 of this book. But what is the scientific evidence for the seed, and what is its role in the preserving and raising of the sacred secretion for super consciousness awakening? Let's take a closer look. The pituitary and the pineal streams flow down from the brain through the left and right sides of the autonomic nervous system. These channels are also known as the Ida and the Pingala nadis. Then they continue through the semilunar ganglia, the esoterically known as the Sea of Galilee, which carries the two potencies or streams to the solar plexus, which innervates the spleen. In the spleen, the two potencies merge and conceive or generate the seed in the spleen. The spleen mysteriously creates cells. It does this by enclosing a minute body from the cerebrum within a case, which is the Moses basket. Thus, within the spleen is formed the true physiological seeds or cells of the body. And then it says, the spleen is where we find the modern scientific parallel of the historic symbolic description. The spleen is part of the lymphatic water system. It contains the all-important germinal center, symbolically known as the manger. This is where Jesus, or Jesus, is born. Jesus is the germ of the seed of life, okay? And this is pretty much what GW or George Carey says. The spleen's germinal center is a seed of multipotent stem cell production. Therefore, the esoteric Jesus or seed, germ or cell, is parallel with the waterborne stem cells generated by the union of the pituitary and the lunar potency and the pineal solar potency. Now, a couple of chapters ago, I read how you could calculate your lunar and your sidereal cycles. So I downloaded the app on my phone. I think it was like $10. And I downloaded that, and I'm going to go watch the video on YouTube today so I can calculate my germination seed based on the zodiacal signs, okay? Based on what's in the sky, how my body reacts, right? So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do that for 2 of my sister coworkers, as I call them. And I'm going to calculate theirs as well so that we know 3 days before and so many days after when our seed is, germinates and it goes through this whole process, right? So I will share that with you guys and let you know. It says multipotent stem cells are infinite cells which have the ability to become many types of bodily cells. Thus, through this through their production, we are replenished, invigorated, and renewed at a cellular level from the inside out. And that's true because every 7 years, our bodies recreate or reproduce. They regenerate. So the body that you have now is not the same body you had 7 years ago. And vice versa. 7 years ago from there, from 7 years back, which is 14 years, your body's not the same because it goes through this process. We at one time could regenerate our limbs, people. We're so disconnected from the way we used to be. It's unbelievable. And I know that sounds woo-woo, but when you read and you understand and you research, you understand the power that we possess inside of us. That's how they have this experiment going in the Earth Dome, and how they've limited us, and we're living a fake illusion all around. Like, this is not the reality. This isn't real reality that we're experiencing right now. It's unbelievable. It just blows my mind. So let's get back to it. Let's take a look at how the two potencies combine to form the seeds or cells of life. The solar pineal potency, nitrogen and phosphorus, forms the nuclei and nucleus of the cells, i.e. the central part. The lunar pituitary potency, the protoplasma or soma, forms the outer body of the cells. Annie Kingsford describes the process poetically on page 144 of The Perfect Way. Where's my highlighter? So there's other books that I'm going to have to put on my reading list once I start ordering books again. So this is Perfect Way. I've got to make sure I grab that book. It says, in her bosom, the protoplasmic lunar body is conceived, the bright and holy light, the nuclei. In the diagram below, the solar germ, the electrical pineal potency, is C and D, and the lunar germ, the protoplasm pituitary potency, is A and B. Together, these two essences form stem cells or the Jesus seed, born in the solar plexus every 29.5 days. And I'm going to put this up to the camera. Hopefully, y'all can see this pretty well. Okay. The pituitary and pineal potencies combine to produce stem cells. It says this inner alchemical sacred secretion process is parallel with the body's monthly cellular mitosis. So our bodies go through the cellular mitosis, and every month, like it says, 29.5 days, this occurs in our body. That's why it's important for us to practice seed retention, no sex, especially if you want to take on this path of enlightenment. This is going to sound totally woo-woo, but I'm going to tell you, there's other ways that you can stimulate yourself to retain your seed. There's other ways for you can be intimate and close without giving up semen retention, or without giving up semen, and you're retaining that. Because that which you retain will help you push you further or push you closer to the creator of all. So basically, when we're having sex with these different people, not only are we exchanging energies, right? But you're taking on that person's energy as well as the person who slept with them and the person who slept with them. So you see why we have a lot of confused people that are walking around, especially if you've had multiple sex partners, right? And so my thing is, once you learn this knowledge, it's kind of hard for you to unlearn it, right? So as well as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself, in that I need to retain this information and understand how I can get to the next level. So it says, the inner alchemical sacred secretion process is parallel with the body's monthly solar mitosis. Professor Hotama was referring to this process when he said the spirit, a fiery nucleus or pineal potency of the noetic intelligence, is plunged into the fluidic habitat of a body or watery flesh, a pituitary potency, the son of perfection, part 1, H. Hotama. So she's giving other references of other books. When explaining how cells operate and preserve themselves, Professor Hotama said, the cytoplasm or protoplasm of the cells surrounding the nucleus is the negative lunar alkaline element. The nucleus is the positive or solar acid element. This makes the cell or seed a bipolar mechanism, and the acid nuclei balance is imperative for life. So we have to have both acidic and alkaline in order for the cells to produce or reproduce, right? And I guess this is why we need to have more of an alkaline body, alkaline based body. I do know if you have a lot more acidic or acid in your body or in your blood, you carry more dis-ease or disease, right? It makes you sick. And I know that I have an inflammation right now within my body, not only because I'm overweight, but because I have a problem with my lungs. Because every morning I wake up, I'm coughing up the stuff. And I know all of my siblings, we all have asthma, all of us. And now it's getting to the point now where I can't lay down flat. I have to sleep sitting up, and it's because of my lungs. Like, I've been practicing the breathing techniques and the breath work. It helps, but I feel like I'm really going to have to start taking the Wim Hof classes. I'm really going to have to do that. It says next paragraph down, it says, in short, every cell is bipolar, lunar, solar, pituitary, pineal potency based, and the production or proliferation or mitosis of psychological stem cells in the body is what the masters once referred to as Jesus, being born in Bethlehem. My previous title, The Cell of Life, Awakening and Regenerating, provides further context and information regarding the divine seed. I'm going to highlight that because that's going to go on my order list. So she has another book. Okay. This particular book pulls together all of the most prominent and integral information regarding the sacred seed process and how you can embody the teaching for yourself. It's entitled The Sacred Secretion, Your Guide to Kundalini Energy, Christ Oil, Inner Alchemy, and the Monthly Seed. And this is what I've got. Because I've endured and because I've endeavored to include all of the most beneficial information and practical guidance from my previous books and videos, as well as new truths, insights to create the overall best bits, a compendium of knowledge. Okay, so she has another book that's called The Cell of Life, Awakening, Regenerating. And the book that I'm reading now is the second book, or the next book that she has with everything in it. My previous book, The God Designed Secrets of the Mind, Body, and Soul, that's another book she has out, takes a deep dive into the esoteric teachings, shining a light on the various contexts and perspectives that the sacred secretion alchemy exists in throughout the ages. And that's the same thing Manly P. Hall has. And I have that book. I showed it yesterday, The Secret Teachings of Manly P. Hall. It's right here on the floor. I took a lot of my books out down here, and I've got to alphabetize and make sure I've got everything in my spreadsheet and then plug it back up. This is the book I was talking about. Secret Teachings. This is The Secret Teachings of All Ages, Manly P. Hall. Okay. For example, the God Design explores and explains the sacred secretion in relation to the Eastern traditions such as Kundalini and the Kaya Kalpa. Newer religions such as Christianity, highlighting many biblical metaphors, plus modern scientific contexts of the sacred secretion such as the exogenesis are described, as well as giving other insights into the anatomical process and practical advice. So I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, but the story of Christ is an allegory. Was there really a being that had done all these things? Yeah, probably so. Probably wouldn't name Yeshua or Jesus Christ. I mean, heck, I'm reading about Simeon Toku, how they chopped him up. You know, they killed him 3 times, and his body kept resimulating or reforming and coming back. And so the last time he said, hey, the next folks that come behind me, they're not going to be so nice. So yeah, I truly believe that there are individuals that have come here to teach us about these things because we've been disconnected from it based on these lower vibrational beings, the reptilians and the other races, the grays. Yeah, I know how that sounds, but when you do your research, you'll understand what is going on, who is actually in control and what is in control and what this place is, right? So my thing is, these beings have come here to help us, and it's all encoded in these stories. And until you learn the esoteric knowledge and learn to break it down and understand what has transpired, you're going to be stuck in a loop, right? You're just going to be. And I don't want to come back. I keep saying that. I do not want to incarnate into another body I want to ascend and move into a higher dimension or higher realm. But I know that there's work that I need to do within myself to get to that point. I can at least attest to do the physical alchemical process within the body to activate that. But I also know that I need to clear out the old baggage and the chakras. I have to do the inner shadow work, right? And I stopped doing that. So now I'm back on the shadow work. I'm back on doing that. I don't have a choice now. I've got to get to the next level. So I am my own worst enemy. And I'm speaking to myself with you in love. I am my own worst enemy because I will start a thing and then I will stop a thing and then I will start a thing and I will stop a thing. I can't stop now. I have to continue. I have to continue. So it says, for example, the God design explores and explains the sacred secretion in relation to Eastern traditions such as Kundalini and Kaya Kalpa and newer religions such as Christianity, highlighting many biblical metaphors, plus modern scientific context of the sacred secretion, such as exogenesis, are described as well as giving other insights into the anatomical process and practical advice. Elevation, the divine power of the human body, decodes the inner alchemical or biochemical process hidden within the Bible, book of Revelation, and gives a full transliteration of this wildly misunderstood writing. Gonna get that. I'm highlighting these books. It's called The Elevation, the Divine Power of the Human Body. The other book, The God Design Secrets of the Mind, Soul, and Body. The other book, The Cell of Life, Awakening and Regenerating. Those are the 3 books, okay? And it says, decoding the inner alchemical biochemical process hidden within the Bible book of Revelation gives a full transliteration of the widely misunderstood writing. Ultimately, illustrating the potential available to each and every one of us because it's our natural born birthright, hue of a man, a human, okay? A human. Now, we got clones that don't have what we have. People walking around that look like us, talk like us, but they're not us because they were created. They were created in a lab. For those of you who have read these previous titles, let me go back. I'm missing a part. Elevation, the divine power of the human body, decodes the inner alchemical process hidden within the Bible book of Revelation and gives a full translation of this widely misunderstood writing, ultimately illustrating the potential availability to each and every one of us, as it is in Psalms 82:6, Alex's first favorite verse. Ye are all gods and sons of the Most High. I'm going to say it one more time. Psalms 82:6. You are all gods and sons of the Most High. For those of you who have read these previous titles, you will notice some repetitions, but this was necessary in order to condense all the highlights into a specific offering. There are many new insights, and hopefully you will still enjoy the book and receive a wonderful refreshment and reinvigoration of knowledge. And I've circled these. So you see, I don't know if you can see, I've highlighted those titles because I will make sure I get that. So that was process 4, right? So let me take my sticker out. So we went over those titles. Okay. And that's process 4. Now, in this book, I want to pick up where we left off. And this is on chapter 3, the pineal gland. This is the one that I wanted to get to. The pineal gland, the pine cone, the witch, and the cortex. And Jacob called the place Pineal, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Genesis 32:30. That's my favorite verse right there. Out of all the verses. Genesis 32:30. I see God face to face, and I will call it pineal. The pineal gland is a tiny gland in the center of the brain that receives more blood flow than any other area of the body. The pineal is shaped like, or hence named after, a pine cone. When we look at the title, pineal esoterically, it can be split into your pine based on its shape and all, which means God. So all are L, which means God. Therefore, the name Pineal literally means pine god. Did y'all get that? Pineal means pine god. Pine, based on its shape, and all, which means God. Pine god. The gland is ultimately linked to our body's perception of light. It is the size of a pinky finger nail. That small. Such a powerful thing. And it is lined with tissue called the pileocytes or pinealocytes, which are similar to the rods or cones in the eyes. It also has the same wiring to the visual cortex part of the brain as the two eyes. So we actually do have three eyes in our freaking head, people. For these reasons, the pineal is believed to be the third eye and the origin of the non-physical connection. What's more, for any readers with the interest in mathematics and geometry, if you follow the golden ratio, also known as the Fibonacci sequence, a mathematical formula that appears everywhere in nature, along the circumference of the brain, the spiral will end at the exact point of the pineal. In addition, the pineal gland develops in the human fetus at 49 weeks. 49 days, which is 7 weeks after conception. This is also the same time that the first indication of gender develops, and when, according to the Buddhists, the reincarnated soul enters the physical body. Consequently, the pineal is often referred to as the antenna to the universal energy. From the Egyptian staff of Osiris to the head of the Hindu god Shiva, ancient Assyrian palace carvings to the Roman Thyrus and Pigna symbols representing the pineal gland can be observed throughout history. It is this endless references to the pine cone and the pineal that have led to the common belief of the gland as a spiritual organ and are linked to its higher levels of reality. Unsurprisingly, the pineal is largely associated with spirituality and access to higher dimensions. Even the ancient Greeks believed that the pineal was our link to other realms of thought, shown through the monuments and images of physical beings holding pine cones. Y'all know the Pope's got that staff with the pine cone. Go Google it. You'll see it. He knows what that means. They're all well versed in esoteric knowledge because they know it's hidden in plain sight, and majority of people don't know. You know, I didn't know this stuff going into church and, reading the scriptures. I read the scriptures verbatim. And if I remember when I read this correctly a couple of weeks back, what did this book say when it said, let me see if I can find it real quick. And I'm going to get back to this part. I'm trying to find that quote because this is a really daggone good quote. And I don't know which book it's in. I don't remember what book it's in, but it basically talks about, hang on, was it in this book? I don't think it was in this book. I got to read that quote again. You can't escape from prison until you recognize that you're in one. That's not it. Magic is alive in all of us. We just need to remember how to use it. That's not it. As species, we are clever, but we are not wise. That's not it. Oh my goodness. Why can't I put my hands on it, Creator? Why can I not put my hands on it? Yeah, it's going to come to me when I get off this video. And I'm like, oh, that's the quote. That's the quote I was looking for. Literally, if we read the book and this book is encoded in its layers. If you're reading it verbatim as you understand it and you read it that, you're not getting the text. You're not even scratching the surface of what it truly means. It's all encoded. It is all encoded and it's all written in the sky, you guys. This is all encoded. And I cannot find that daggone quote and it's bugging me. All right, let me get back to reading. It's making me crazy. Because it just fits this so eloquently. It really talks about, it nails it. Damn. All right. I'm not going to be able to find it. I'll bring it back up when I can. All right, let's keep moving. Biologically, the pineal gland is responsible for producing melatonin, a natural chemical that regulates sleep patterns, and it's a skin lightener. Skin lightener. Melatonin is also the precursor to a vast range of other chemicals such as serotonin, which balances the mood, and DMT, a psychedelic spirit molecule that will be explained later. Now, why would our bodies have those things in it? Why do we have a psychedelic chemical that's in our bodies naturally? You got to wonder about that. You got to wonder about it. So it says the pineal also has the job of secreting these directly into the cerebral, the CFF, the spinal fluid. That's why I'm pointing to my back. Molecule-rich liquid that travels through our nervous system. It is because of that Dr. Joe Dispenza refers to the pineal at the body's alchemy center. This fluid is electromagnetic. It's electrically charged. We have electricity running through our bodies, people. We have electricity running through our bodies. As recalled in chapter 1, the production of these chemicals within the pineal is based on levels of light that the body is exposed to. When your eyes pick up light in the morning in the Bible, angels depicted as messengers of light, and it is, they send signals along the optic nerve to the pineal, which responds by halting the production of melatonin and stimulating the conversion of serotonin. The serotonin secretion then stimulates higher brain waves, which cause you to realize that you are in a physical body, thus waking you up. As it gets darker, the inverse happens to prepare the body for sleep. According to Jay Weidner, your consciousness is governed by light. Therefore, the pineal gland is the center of consciousness. Light isn't only an external phenomenon either, interestingly. The pineal has also been known to produce luciferin, a pigment that reacts with oxygen to create light. Now, why do they have the knock-knock or the happy sauce injections with that luciferin injected into those? Go look it up. Why are they altering with these RNA happy shots to directly affect our makeup, our genetic makeup? They are editing and modifying our genomes. I'm going to read that one more time for y'all that didn't hear me when I said this. The pineal also has been known to produce luciferin, a pigment that reacts with oxygen to create light. Thus, the pineal literally lights up your body temple. It is no wonder that the famous philosopher Descartes described the pineal as the principal seat of the soul. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to highlight that. Pineal produces DMT, serotonin, melatonin, luciferin. The pigment that reacts to create light. The pineal literally lights up your body temple. With regards to the sacred secretion, the pineal gland is associated with the male energy, the father. It has an electric properties and is synchronized with the pituitary, its sister. In close proximity to the pineal, the pituitary gland is a small reddish gland that looks like a pear and is associated with the female energy, the mother. It sits behind the bridge of the upper nose, right in the middle of the brain, and has magnetic properties. Well, I know we have millions of magnetite crystals in our brains that vibrate. This gland is responsible for the production of most of the chemicals that influence other glands and hormones, particularly those that are associated with the chakra energy centers. The pituitary has two major lobes. It is about the size of a pea, and it sits below the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus receives and integrates information from the rest of the body, and then signals the pituitary to secrete hormones in response. For the purpose of this book, the pituitary predominantly secretes two key hormones. Okay, and I'm gonna highlight those. Oxytocin Oxytocin is known as the love chemical, which oxytocin levels are increased as a person experiences an elevated feeling of love of life, love for the others, and connectedness. It is oxytocin that enables us to trust God and bond with family and social groups. Its nutrient properties earn it the title as the mother hormone. Higher levels of oxytocin adhere to the physical felt feeling of oneness with the souls as we move along the ascension ladder. Recent studies have also shown that this hormone is not only produced in the brain, but in the heart also. And the vasopressin is essentially for water retention, making the body more water-based. This is especially important as we train our bodies to vibrate higher due to the fact that the water is needed to act as a conduit, translating that frequency into the cells. And you guys can go look this up. Average people here in the United States are dehydrated, meaning they're low on water. And if you're low on water and you have all these EMFs and dirty frequencies bombarding your body on a daily basis, what do you think that happens to the body? What do you think that happens to us energetically, spiritually? You know, because we have 3 bodies. We talked about that in my last video on my live stream on Facebook. We have 3 bodies. It's affecting us. And these entities know what they're doing because they know our human anatomy. Hell, they studied the human anatomy. They know the human anatomy. And some of them, I dare say, were around at the time where we were created. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And it says, higher water levels within the body are also associated with higher levels of consciousness and brain waves. See? As we ascend spiritually, the physical body will require more water to hold more light frequencies. Thus, effective vasopressin is paramount. Around the pineal is a reservoir of flowing water. Cerebrospinal fluid is a clear, salty protein, rich, oily liquid that carries nutrients to and waste products from deep brain tissue, which we'll detail later. The water contains crystals that are each approximately 1 to 20 microns in length. These crystals are made of calcium, carbon, and oxygen, which expresses an electrical effect that generates and alters our electromagnetic field. When these crystals compress, they release photons of light that can produce all the colored light in the rainbow. It is this phenomenon that links the pineal and the sacred secretion to various religion texts, such as Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat. The pineal is also a transducer as it is able to receive energetic signals and convert them into another form. The gland is able to do this by turning into invisible frequencies received from the magnetic element, the magnetite that is concentrated there, and turning them into images that our conscious brain can analyze. That's why I said you got millions of magnetite crystals that vibrate in your brain, and this is what it does. Unfortunately, many modern dietary habits prevent the pineal from reaching its full potential. One of the biggest inhibitors of pineal function is neurotoxins, the largest contributor of which is fluoride. So if you guys are listening to me and you're still brushing your teeth with fluoride, then keep scrolling, because there's no point of even continuing to study with me and us learn together and grow together. No point. Now, I will tell you, I just got some tea from the store, and that's fluoride water. So I'm going to really have to stop with that. I don't cook with tap water. I still bathe with it, but I don't cook with it because I don't have a whole house filtration system yet. But I'm still taking in some limited doses of fluoride is what my point is. So it says, unfortunately, many modern dietary habits prevent the pineal from reaching its full potential. One of the biggest inhibitors of pineal functioning is the neurotoxins, the largest contributing of which is fluoride. And why do you think they pour fluoride in our water? Fluoride is added to our water and GMO food supply by the government bodies in control in order to support healthy teeth. Note, it was first put into the water supply by the concentration camps by the Nazis, which I will leave to make your own conclusions. This will make us more docile too, and to make us dumb. Unfortunately, fluoride calcifies the pineal, covering it with the phosphate crystals, a sand-like substance. In addition, the crystals within the pineal flow water gets bound up by the harmful minerals such as fluoride and chlorine, which causes blockages. Obviously, the less water getting to the pineal, the less access you have to your astral body, as there will be less melatites being produced. For this reason, calcification of the pineal is also linked with the mental health issues such as schizophrenia. And I have a cousin who has that. Furthermore, as the pineal hardens from the calcification, less melatonin is produced, resulting in poor sleep patterns and depression, which I have poor sleep patterns because I only sleep 4 or 5 hours a night. In fact, pineal calcification occurs in an estimated 40% of Americans by the age of 17. That clearly demonstrates a connection between the daily consumption of modified food, toxic water with increased mental health issues in children and young adults alike. Interesting, the pineal is largely associated with our gender identity and the onset of puberty, which can also be linked to adolescence and well-being. But hope is not lost. The human body is constantly regenerating, self-healing, and adapting. Through a developed awareness and conscious action, decalcifying and activating the pineal gland is actually very simple. Ways to decalcify and awaken your pineal gland: getting outside in the sun, sleeping in complete darkness, meditation, filtering the water to reduce toxins, predominantly use a distiller, which I can then remineralize and bless. Leaving the water out in the natural sunlight can also be effective as structuring it in a way that it's preferable for absorption by the body. Using a non-fluoride toothpaste. Consume iodine supplement. Once the pineal gland is activated, a person will be able to pick up at higher frequencies, which produce a change in chemistry. Because all energy is communicating, a healthy pineal is able to process the highly organized ways that exist beyond the light spectrum that the conditioned physical body was previously limited to. At first, these visions are often geometrical and fractal in property, but as the pineal is trained to vibrate higher and focus deeper, this can extend into the trance states that prime you for mystical experiences during meditation, seer sight, or dream time. Yep. And then it says, remember, lifestyle changes always seem difficult at first, but after a while, they become a normal part of everyday life. To reach higher realms of consciousness, it is important to keep the third eye open and stay connected to universal energy. The pineal gland contains all the necessary building blocks to make DMT, a natural molecule believed to link the physical being with the non-physical world. The location of the pineal, sitting so close to proximity to important brain structures such as the lymphatic system and the fluid reservoirs, make it ideal for DMT release into the body. The creator of all knew when these bodies were structured. The bipedal hominid is the most basic blueprint in all throughout this galaxy or existence within this Earth dome and beyond, or in the other 178 known worlds. From its throne in the brain, the pineal is able to secrete its melatites into the clear fluid of the central nervous system known as the cerebral spinal fluid, or CSF. These chemicals flow through the ventricles of the brain, delivering goods and removing waste before descending down the spine and rising again. Interesting, this tiny pine cone shaped gland hangs from the roof of the third ventricle, which is also commonly referred to as Brahma's cave. Due to the fact that the pineal floats in CSF, it is constantly moving in the waves of the salty liquid like the sea. Consequently, it picks up even minutes of vibrations and alterations in the electromagnetic field. So why do you think they keep harming us with these energies? Is it because they don't want us to ascend to become higher than they are? Because we have the ability to do that. In addition, the pineal is also concentrated with a natural occurring metallic molecule known as the magnetite. It is also found abundantly around the brain. The magnetite properties of magnetite means that its vibratory output is strongly influenced by the external electromagnetic frequencies, such as those produced by the moon as it travels through each sign of the zodiac belt, which then stimulates specific chemical secretions such as metabolites. The pineal should secrete for optimal performance in relation to the current environment. Here's a summary. The pineal gland is a tiny gland in the center of the brain. The gland has more blood flow than any other part of the body. The gland is connected to the same part of the visual cortex as the two physical eyes, given in title as our third eye. The pineal gland has many responsibilities, including secreting melatonin and DMT. The pineal gland secretes directly from the CSF fluid, which flows through the central nervous system. And decalcification of the pineal is essential for effective use. And that's the end of chapter 3. And that's the most important part that I wanted to cover. Next up will be the DMT, a reality thermostat. And then that's chapter 4. And then we're going to read in process 5, the seed is either wasted or preserved and rise. So we're going to read those consequently two together. I appreciate you guys joining me for this short study. In short, we got a lot of work to do, people, and we got a short amount of time to get it done. And I believe we can do it. If I can do it, you can do it, right? I'm here to encourage you. I know I'm not perfect, and neither are you. But I say this in love. I believe that we are the change. We can be the change that we need to see all around this planet. It is up to you and I to make a positive change, because there are entities and individuals that want to keep us at a lower state of vibration. And they're doing an excellent job, you guys. They formed this plan thousands of years ago, and they're executing it beautifully. What they didn't incur for or account for is that there are some of us that are going to rise to the occasion. Let that be you and I that rise to the occasion. Many won't wake up, many won't survive what's coming, but I'm not giving that energy. I'm just simply saying we are out of time, people. We are out of time. And I hope you guys know that I love you. And I always say, be a change you want to see, because it's up to you and I to make that positive change in this ethos. I love you guys.